Very much looking forward to this. It is an Ahri mirror between Jesse and George. I haven't seen a ton of Ahri mirrors in the past. This is not a mirror I have a lot of experience with. But what I do know is that these are green and blue for Ahri, and that is a lot of combat tricks that like to be in the deck. And I feel like this is a matchup where we can end up getting some really cool plays on the stack between these two players or on the chain. And they're going to be starting out with actually different battlefields for this approach. We do have a Godwillow's Grove on the top, and we have a Treferian War Camp on the bottom. So Godwillow's Grove is going to be when I hold here, draw one classic Ahri battlefield. And on the other side, Treferian War Camp is that +1 to everybody there.
Yeah, very interesting difference there. And we did see Time Warp on the side of George. I didn't catch if they kept it originally or if that was drawn off the top from the mulligans, but in any case, it is there. And, well, I imagine that Time Warp is exactly the card. Yeah, no, it is in hand. I just didn't know if it was drawn from the mulligan or if they chose to keep it. Sorry. So we are seeing the ramp there in the Find Your Center. Getting a draw as well.
Notably, both players going for blue Ahri in the champ zone instead of green, which we've seen a lot for the Warp just setting up with green Ahri. But I do love that, you know, blue has kind of made its way back in Retreat's main board for a lot of these decks that were previously saying, you know what, I can just never play this 3-might unit, and no matter how good it is. But Retreat main board to kind of help you out with Kai'Sa, especially when you've also got the Defies, you've got kind of these different answers, allowing you to be like, you know what, okay, there actually is a way that we can play around Ahri Inquisitive, and she is very powerful as a turn 2 play or even a turn 1 play if you're going second into certain matchups because she's essentially 5 might because she's given that -1 either on attacking or defending.
Yeah, it is a card that is excessively annoying to play around, having played against it a few times this weekend. It's one of those decks where my brain just starts hurting when I have to do the math. It's like, Master Yi, that's nice and easy. It's just +2. It's always good, but it's just +2. It's here, it's like I need to do -1 and then -2, and I take the two things, so it's -1 twice. It's like, I just don't want to do it.
And there's the main deck Retreat alongside a couple of Defies here. So as you're seeing it, a lot of these players very conscious of the Kai'Sa, trying to find answers, trying to find ways that they can continue to pilot their deck through the boogeyman of the format that is the Daughter of the Void. And George is just going to go ahead and say, hey, let's go ahead and flood the board, get a couple of these Raven Blooms out. And his hand also did have a good amount of tricks, so these can get really out of hand very quickly when you're able to kind of awaken all of your runes and then look to push in. But that will come at the cost, of course, of not having that turn 1 play. Is going to allow Jesse to get a hold on that Grove of the Godwillow and be in a very good position to defend this Raven Bloom student. Both of these decks struggle with conquering, very good at holding.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see our good friend RBS, the RB's there, the RB's manager. We've got the manager and the assistant manager on the side of George here coming in, going up against just the one. But like you said, the tricks, it's already hard enough when you're playing against green to try to play around the range of possible interaction that your opponent can have. Well, also now you need to factor in +1 on the Raven Bloom student, and also another +1 on the other Raven Bloom student. You need to factor all of that in. And the math is doable, obviously, and we see top players able to do that and predict the ranges here. But it is really hard to do on the fly and also to predict correctly, because if you overcompensate, you can end up spending more resources than you needed to.
Yep. And it is going to be, I think he accidentally recycle this rune to the bottom of his trash. He'll probably figure that out.
I've done that.
He'll probably figure it out.
I've done that. Yeah.
As we do have an Ahri, blue Ahri being just played in base, not going to look immediately to try and hold because he knows, hey, look, you've got 2 Raven Blooms and all of those runes where I've actually developed this turn, I'm not going to mess with that smoke. I'm not going to try and fight you on the stack there. You know, he may put up a little bit of a fight with his Raven Bloom to try and at least trade something back, but make George really have it, but certainly going to be afraid to go into a full fight from there, and he always has this backup of Retreat if he just wants to kind of grab that Raven Bloom back.
Yeah, really good scenario. Now, of course, that would normally be great, but we do have the Defies on the side. We at least have one Defy on the side of Jesse. So, you know, if you are, or sorry, you've got defies on both sides. So Jesse potentially
might be able
to defend themselves. Okay, so yeah, that does make this a little bit better. But you know, being ahead, that is great for Jesse. George is.
Yeah, he found it.
Yeah, okay.
I was like, yeah, easy enough.
Yeah, that was the point of. Yep, I've done that. There's less shuffling in this game than other games, just given how the game is designed.
None.
Well, at the beginning of the game, there is.
Yes, you do have shuffled your
and
deck
also,
at the start.
every single time you recycle more than one card, you also technically
shuffle those cards.
Yes, which is there's a lot of fiddling.
Fine, you're technically correct.
Yes,
that's all you. That's what you wanted. That's what you wanted.
That's exactly what I wanted. Just my minor grievances need to be aired on camera.
Yeah,
Thank you.
of course.
Dave, fix it, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I am charging Blevins for this therapy session, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, he's got to pay my hourly.
Yes, I will decline. Anyway, here we are. We're seeing the old Ravenbloom student say, "Yeah, we are not messing around with this. Even with just 2 runes up, we're not going. We're at least going to take the other battlefield first." Now, George going to decide what they're going to do from there. Looks like perhaps their own blue Ahri. Yep, putting it on the bottom of their rune deck. Not their trash, as is tradition.
Wow.
Not messing with it.
That's a lot of runes up. I mean, Jesse has the point lead.
Yeah.
If I'm Jesse, I'm pretty tempted to never give a window to let George play anything on this turn.
Yeah.
Like, if I've got units in hand, I'm just developing, and I'm saying, cool, go. Or I'll even reinforce the Grove maybe at this point and hold up a bunch of spells.
Yeah. Huge sign of weakness on the side of George, saying, I have all of my runes up, and I am not going to contest you when you have 2 runes with the same exact unit that will benefit from all of the spells. Like, oh, okay, so George just doesn't have spells.
Yeah, I mean, you start 1 down, right? But like you would think with that many runes, you can climb your way back up.
And that many cards in hand as well, you'd think.
Yeah, there you're going to have Ahri trigger from both sides. But one is from the champion and one is from the legend. So there's going to be a -2 onto the Ravenbloom.
Right, but actually only on the other side. But actually only -1 from the -2 because Ravenbloom doesn't. It goes to a minimum of 1.
Right, but Ravenbloom is currently a 3 because of War Amp.
Bingo.
So it will go down to 1 this time around. But yes, you would generally
under normal
circumstances only get the -1.
We'd been losing value there.
Yeah, it looks like a Defy on the on guard. That's a very efficient spell from George, not wanting to allow that to come through.
Yep.
Now George going to have to consider what he can do next because right now he is losing out 3 against 1 as far as the might is concerned.
The good news for George is because that this is an Ahri battling in and not another Ravenbloom student, every spell that is played on the side of George that resolves is going to benefit the Ravenbloom student.
All right, he's responding to that Defy with a Defy of his own to keep that on guard going. Very impactful here because these cards do need to resolve to give the Ravenbloom student its trigger. And it looks like is that yet another Defy from Jesse being sent forward, or is that just the one that he'd already sent? Now it's the second one.
Okay,
now it's okay. That's what That's what I was checking in because we knew he had 2. The question is, does George have an additional one to try and deal with this, or is he going to have to let?
That's the hand down. I feel like you're not debating whether you play another one at this point. You are. We're in Vegas. You are pot committed at this point.
Yeah, I mean, because currently neither of these spells will resolve for George.
Right, which is. I think what we say in the business, back-breaking.
Both of them resolve. The Defies get to cancel out those spells, give the +2s over to the Ravenbloom students. Now George has to decide what else he's got here. Just going to, it looks like he's reaching for 1 rune. Maybe he's got a retreat. Ravenbloom is pretty powerful in this matchup. You are fighting on the stack just a lot.
Yeah.
On guard would be best case scenario. That would push you back to 4,
Stupefy.
which would put you above the Ahri.
Yep.
Stupefy gets you back to even.
Right, and it says not going to chance it. As the dust settles, Blue Ahri able to take the Trevarian War Camp, and now Jesse has control of both battlefields. And notably, a lot of resources used on the side of George and also on the side of Jesse, but Jesse is holding Grove the Godwillow, which is going to give him an additional card as he's.
Yeah, and I mean, Jesse still has a bunch of runes up. George tried to defend not able to find it. Feels like maybe casting the Stupefy is just not worth it at that point. He's already down a bunch of runes.
Yeah.
Jesse still has a bunch up, a ton of cards from the Grove. I mean, this is what happens when you lose out on Grove. Jesse was able to get onto Grove first. George did not contest or was not able to contest. And Jesse is now up 2 cards already.
Right.
He's about to be up 3 cards. He's up 2 cards already from the Grove. Unless George can get in there and take it back, he's going to be up 3. And Jesse's still able to pass with a full grip of cards for that Raven Bloom.
Yeah. I don't know how many cards George has, but again, we know that at least one of them is a Time Warp, which at this board state is going to be a very expensive draw 1 card.
Thinking about full sending towards the Grove, it looks like. But this is where that -2 you're talking about becomes a -1 from the blue Ahri.
Certainly worse. And it's going to be an effective -2 from Ahri Legend because 2 units each get -1. Long story short, not looking great for George here, but I think this is a pivotal turn. Again, if nothing happens here, Jesse goes to that all-important 6 and is controlling both, I believe, 2, 4, 6. So would not have enough to Time Warp to end the game.
He might just win before he even gets to
you might you might just win anyway, but you know, this is a very pivotal turn, and George is just, deciding, is this the turn that I can go in, that I can use the rest of my resources to try to make something happen, or are we going to wait a turn and try to make that last stand on the next turn cycle?
It's just going to push into War Camp.
Yep.
Counteract the -2 from the Ahri. But it is still going to be an additional -2 from the champion Ahri.
Yep.
Going somewhere else.
See a Stupefy on both sides. I also see an On Guard on the side of Jesse. A smoke screen on the side of Jesse.
Yeah. So when I defend trigger is going to resolve first. That is going to put, it looks like -2 is going. I mean, everything is just getting set down. The Raven Bloom will be a 2 because of War Camp counteracting the Ahri Legend trigger. But because of the -2 from blue Ahri, I think George's, there's so many Ahris in this equation. George's blue Ahri is going to be set to 1 might after all this is said and done.
Makes sense.
Whereas on the other side, Jesse's will be currently at 2.
Start, looks like with an On Guard.
That will be a +2 going towards Jesse's Ahri, which will take us from 2 to 4 up against the other side, which is currently 3 total might.
I've got fingers here to help us remember.
Now a Stupefy is going to not just create parity, but give a buff to the Raven Bloom student. So -1 from the 4 on blue Ahri down to 3. That will give a +1 to the Raven Bloom, making the total might on George's side up to 4.
You discipline.
Yeah, another spell coming down. That is going to take us from the 3 that we had because the Stupefy brought it down up to a 5 from the +2, which will, once again, change the leader of the might on this fight. 5 for Jesse, 4 for George. See another discipline in the hand of George this time.
I'm running out of fingers.
And he will be going for it. We're going to go not just to 6, but to 7 because of the fact that the Raven Bloom will also get the trigger from this discipline. So 7 up against 5 for now. Both of those will resolve. The draws come through. See if there's any more from these 2 players to continue on. I believe focus is on Jesse now to decide what they would like to do next. Looks like they're discussing the total might. What we have right now is 7 to 5. I think they are trying to decide exactly how much each of these units currently has, because Jesse is sitting on a smoke screen in hand. So they want to determine where he can get the full value of that -4.
we're able to get the full -4 on the Ravenbloom student, which it looks like that may be what is coming here.
So there's that. -4 on the Ravenbloom. It's going to take us from 7 to 3. After that, there will still be just the 5 on the Ahri for the side of Jesse. 5 to 3. Focus back to George.
I feel like this has been one of the craziest series of turns we've had, and it's just one interaction here.
Now, what other buffs are in the hand?
I see a Watcher, I see a Find Your Center, and I
Find Your Center can find more action. Oh, Wind Wall on the smoke screen. So we're back to 7 versus 5, but Wind Wall having to be committed to a smoke screen is massive for
and
Jesse.
Actually, it'll be 8 because
8 because of the Ravenbloom, you're right. And it's all going to get answered by a retreat at the end. All of that action in this mirror between George and Jesse. Let's just scoop that Ahri back up and put it in a hand.
Yep, and as the dust settles there, 1 point scored on the side of George, up to 2. Welcome to Riftbound, everybody.
Now it's back over to Jesse, and we got the rest of the game to play.
Yes.
That was not the game of Riftbound. That was one sequence during Riftbound.
Many control players in other games, I think, may have just been turned on to. They've just been converted. Yeah, if you are trying to get your old school legacy players who love to play these control decks in the history of Magic and other games, show them this clip right now, because this is going to be the one that sells them on, oh, this is not just play units attack. Like, there's actual game to be played on top. We just saw it.
And now Jesse has to figure out how to navigate next. He has the lead. He was able to get yet another draw.
Oh, yeah.
Grove. I mean, he is so far ahead when it comes to that. And realistically, yeah, he may have lost on the stack, but he lost the battle, not the war in that case. He even was able to
Didn't even really lose the battle. Like, just kind of like
he was retreated. He was routed. He was routed in battle.
Yeah.
But he,
no casualties.
You can fight again another day.
Yeah, absolutely.
When that happens. And Ahri may rejoin at some point into the fray. And that might even be now, as we do see 3 runes exhausted. We are just going to ship her back to the board. Not a lot of backline access for Ahri Nine-Tailed Fox outside of Charm. And because you've got a lot of control on the Grove of the God Willow, it feels pretty comfortable to start slamming some of these backline units down. But yeah, I agree. Singularity is the one that I think we really need to watch out for. But I think there's enough material that Jesse can be like, okay, if a Singularity happens, I think we're not in the worst shape.
Right.
Interesting back off there, considering George has nothing.
Yeah, I'm guessing
currently
just
at the base.
saying, "Don't watcher me, bro," is my guess.
Oh, it looks like that is the amount of runes we're going to.
6,
8.
I think 9. Yeah, 8 or 9. Minimum 8. No, it looks like 8. Yep, looks like 8.
8 runes. So yeah, exactly. Playing around the watcher. I think that's a really solid heads-up play.
Yep.
Because at this point, those Ravenblooms are still very valuable. Still more
Very.
combat tricks in the hand. Ahri gets to abuse this unit probably more than anybody,
Yeah.
but it gets talked about a little bit less than Kaisa because, you know, when Kaisa's doing it, sometimes it feels less fair because she's beating you up at the same time, you know, kicking your legs under the table and making it really tough for you to play.
Yeah, I mean, Ahri gets to see, we get to see the gigantic Ravenbloom student, but again, you don't need to be massive. You do not need a massive Ravenbloom student to still win the game. And Kaisa's like, I'll just get a couple points here and there. That's good enough to just win still.
All right, still a lot of thought going into this turn, whether or not George wants to push in. No, actually, this is back over to George, right? This is the retreat, the pushback from the Ahri. Still keeping the Ravenbloom there for now.
Yep. Yeah, because, I mean, George can fortify the Trevarian War Camp. That's fine, but they also need to do something else about the other battlefield because they are so far behind. They are a full turn's worth of points behind. Jesse, they're full turns worth of points behind, and the turn, so they're a turn and a half behind, really, from Jesse. Jesse, luckily for George, is at that critical 5 points and not 6, so we're not threatening to win next turn as Jesse, but that's if they're only taking one turn.
Exactly. Still a bit cooked to Time Warp. However, I didn't actually count the runes very recently. That looks like that may be 7. So we may actually, you may be right. There's just no way to actually get that win going into the next turn.
Yeah, it does look like 7.
Because
but there also could be more stacked on there. I can't really tell.
Of course. It's always hard to tell for sure. But as of right now, I'm going to go with Jesse's got 7 runes, and we'll see if that ends up we get enlightened by a rune being hidden underneath the stack.
And also, for what it's worth, I don't believe that we've seen a Time Warp in Jesse's hand
Not in the hand yet, right? I would assume there's some amount in the deck. Generally, it seems like they're both relatively similar versions of Ahri. And we've seen a little bit more of this. It's been putting the blue Ahri back into the champ zone, trying to play around it more, really teching your main deck for Kai'Sa with the retreats, trying to really push for that.
Yep.
And it's been working out quite well for a lot of players. But
Sona,
that's a little bit spicier. We've not seen a ton of Sona in the Ahri decks. I know Charmer is a big proponent of Sona and Ahri. I love Sona as a unit a lot, playing it in Leona, and I think that Ahri might even potentially just be a better home for her. I just haven't experimented with too many Ahri Sona builds. Cool to see that pick up because you see how much Ahri can fight on that chain. And Sona is just going to give you the runes, the ammunition to do so.
Yeah, it allows you to effectively overcommit on overcommit your resources here because you're able to develop and then say, oh, I'm going to also ready 4 runes. Normally, you have to sort of thread the needle of, am I going to ready how many runes am I going to spend actually developing units and then leave them up to cast spells on my opponent's turn? Here, you just kind of get to have your cake and eat it too, and that's what Sona's doing for them. I see a Watcher. I see I believe a Fey Folk.
Yeah.
2 Stupefies, a Discipline, and a Mystery card that I can't quite tell right in the middle of the hand.
Yeah, it's interesting because I like the Sona develop because then you're getting the runes back to play out a lot of these other
Sona,
runes.
Of course. Yeah.
But the Sona leaves a lot more runes than maybe you need up with the chief spells that you've got. So there's consideration to actually just Watchering here, trying to push for that 7th point, try and kick George off of there and actually get a few kills pick up on some of these units. Take out the Ravenbloom, take out the Lecturing Yordle, leave only the Ahri left on the back row, and then maybe fortify and try and fight from there, especially if you're able to leave up any runes at all, and it is just going to be the Watcher deployed.
Yep. Does put them behind the ball on casting Time Warp. But again, don't see the Time Warp yet, so not necessary at this point. Let's just clear the battlefield and let's just hope, or let's just say, hey, George, deal with both of these, please. Thank you.
And it looks going to be a struggle for them to actually be able to deal with that as the Watcher pushes in. I'm not sure if George has enough juice in the tank to go 2 into 7 and still come out on top with only 2 runes available.
Yeah.
Not really a lot of options. Even double on guard only gets you to 6. You're still going to be a little behind there.
Yep.
So it may be the writing on the wall for Jesse to be able to pick up this win.
Yeah, it does seem that way, George. Thinking about their outs, if I recall correctly, they may have a Stupefy, so they may just be deciding, is it worth it to cycle the card now to try to get a draw and find something? Not quite sure what they're thinking of here. Looks like a card is going to get played. Okay, we're retreating.
Thinking about which one is better.
Right.
I think at this point, though, the writing's gotten on the wall. I'm not sure if he's got anything. He does have a Watcher of his own that he's been holding on for a long part of this game.
Yeah.
But the question is if you commit all your runes to just kind of Watchering to retake what you've got back, are you actually going to be able to do a lot? And maybe if Jesse ever commits like this, maybe you can, but you'd also have to be able to deal with the Thousand-Tailed Watcher.
Yep.
And if you are playing one of your own, you will drop this one down from an 8 to a 5, and then you've got Ahri to push it down to a 3. But that still doesn't quite get there and still conquer the other side. So I think there's going to need to be more than just a Thousand-Tailed Watcher, and it is 12 runes, so 4 more runes. Ahri can make a lot happen with 4 runes.
Yeah, absolutely. Just wondering And all this to be said, that can all happen if somehow the stars align, George is able to stop that. They are still 4 points behind.
Absolutely, yeah. You get to that point, you get that first little bit. I mean, they do have a warp. If they're able to actually get full control, then they just need one more turn of control, and they can warp and end the game. But gaining that control, wresting that control away from Jesse seems improbable, if not impossible.
Yeah.
At this stage, and then you got to start thinking about time.
Yeah.
24 minutes left in the round. That should be enough to play 2 games of Riftbound. But considering
I don't know,
how
two
long
Ahri
game 1,
mirrors
Ahri mirrors have been pretty tough. A lot of decisions to be made.
Yeah.
You have to start cranking through here.
Absolutely, George in the tank here, just deciding what are the outs, what is the line that even puts me in a possibility to think about winning this game. And it starts with Watcher. I mean, any of these comebacks always start with Watcher.
Usually do. Jesse's just got a single rune available. It's probably a Stupefy, changes the math a little bit, especially with the double Ravenbloom student. So this is a 7, going to be reduced to 6 coming through. And that can be tied up with a Stupefy due to the +2 onto the Ravenblooms. That's going to make 6 total on defense. And then actually 5 on offense from there because of the -1 from Ahri. So actually, Jesse will be ahead by 1 point of might thanks to the Stupefy. And so George needs to find an answer, and he's going to have to defy it.
Okay. All right. We've done the thing. But, I mean, this does work out.
Yeah. That shouldn't trade. Defy should stop the Ravenbloom triggers from coming through.
Right.
But is what it is. Players did not call for a judge. They played it as is, and that is how we have to do it for this event here. Broadcast has no say in these things, and the game is new. Players will make mistakes.
Yeah. It's I mean, we've seen this throughout the day. It's growing pains in general, but
it's a common mistake to be made as well.
Absolutely.
This is the one that I think most people
works
are like
differently than in a lot of other games.
And when people hear it the first time, when I've told them in the past, they say, "Really?"
Yeah.
That's usually the response I get.
Yeah, it just does not work like that in Magic. Now, notably here, George using the non-cool Ahri as their chosen champion. They have multiple copies of Blue Ahri, but using the non-blinged out one, actually choosing to shuffle up the bling one. That is
in the deck.
In deck, that is the flex right there.
Yeah.
I do like it.
But George able to push over the top of the Watcher that was sitting on War Camp for Jesse. Able to get that Conquer. It is just going to be a Tasty coming in. That is currently going to be favored for George at 4 into 7, -1 down to 6, down to 4. So actually tied up.
Okay. So looks like I believe there's a Stupefy. Yep. That works.
And there's no runes available for George.
Yep.
Jesse able to push past, get the Conquer.
Draws another card. Oh, another Fey Folk. Of course, does not have the resources.
That double charm might also be able to help close things out.
Yeah, because that can be a glorified fight or flight, right? You can just move. You do not
it's
need
cheaper than fight or flight. It just is
well,
worse because it costs the
power.
Yeah, cheaper when you're going for the win.
Sure.
Yeah.
Also, I'll pay whatever needs to be paid to get the win.
Now George just going to push on to Grove of the Godwillow.
Yep.
Checking to see if Jesse's floating any runes. None there. Has to consider how he is going to deal with the Tasty Fey Folk.
Yep, we can go to 5. That Time Warp that's been in the opening hand since the very beginning of the game get us to 6 points. Fortunately, we do not play to 6 points. In Riftbound, we play up to 8 in a normal game of 1v1. So George is going to have to find something else. And when we said that there was 24 minutes left in the round, that there would be enough time to play a second game, that was 4 minutes ago, and this game is still not over.
Look, I understand why the pace of play in this game has been a little slower because of how difficult a lot of these decisions are.
Yeah.
But this is something, if you're at home, maybe planning to play at Houston, maybe planning to play at another SCG Con in the future, as they've committed to doing Riftbound, at least Atlanta in January, 5K and a 10K there. You may want to think about when you've got some of these later matchups, these longer matchups.
I absolutely
being
will
really dialed
never
and
pick
playing
this
very
deck
fast
for a tournament, but that's me personally. That is me personally, and it looks like perhaps that is going to be it. Yeah, not able to actually contest the Fey Folk there. Jesse going to get that hold point for the winning point.
All right, well, we will see if these two players are able to really lock in how quickly they can play because, look, if they're going to go to a game 3, they're certainly going to have to be playing extremely fast.
Yeah.
I mean, even at that point, if they get into a game 3, you're going to expect turns. I think it's really hard to play 2 Ahri mirrors in 20 minutes.
Yeah,
almost certainly, right? So really going to have to lock in, get going through this second game, and we're going to jump in with that straight away. Looks like Dreaming Tree on one side for Jesse, and on the other side, Star Tip Peak. So Dreaming Tree, when you cast a spell targeting a friendly unit here for the first time each turn, you will draw a card.
Yep.
And on the other side is Star Tip Peak. When you hold here, you will channel a rune exhausted.
Yep. Notably here with Dreaming Tree, it is the spell does not need to be played. It just needs to choose the unit. So even if the spell does get countered by Defy or Windwall, you're still actually going to draw the card in this case. Unlike some of the other triggers, it is slightly different and could certainly be relevant in this matchup, a game of resources and attrition.
That is an interesting card that Jesse has fanning on the left side there.
Yeah, that is blue Kaisa.
Kaisa
Altar.
Evolutionary. Yeah. This card allows you, on a Conquer, you can play a spell from your trash for free, and then I believe it's recycle it afterwards is what happens. But you don't have to pay any part of the cost. Or without paying its energy cost. I actually thought that it did pay the power cost. So this is on me. I haven't seen this card enough.
Yeah.
So you do actually have to pay the power cost.
Yeah. Energy costs less than your points.
Yes, less than your
without
points.
paying its energy cost.
Right. Yep. Still have to pay the power, but you do need to score enough points to be able to cast it underneath. But there are a lot of spells that could still be useful for, and I think one of the really interesting ones is actually Charm. Because you would go in and Conquer, and then if you've ever played a Charm during the game, you're actually able to kind of try and pull something in and use that removal once again. Yeah, you got to pay the power, but interesting. And we are going to see Evolutionary deployed just as a big body for now.
Yeah. But I mean, if you get a free Find Your Center,
that's pretty good at some point in the game.
Yeah.
Also, notably, she's got ganking. So if you're able to establish her at a battlefield and hold, she's now still an attacker that you can use to try and look for the other side of the game. So don't mind a big body in this matchup either, getting something established that you can either use to push through and conquer, or just even being a big brick for George to have to try and fight his way through. I kind of like this out of Jesse.
I like it as well. Very interesting pick here. Nice little tech card, and we get to see it played out early and potentially even pay off here. George now deciding what are they going to do. Are they going to grab that point at the Dreaming Tree? Looks like they are. Does, of course, open up the possibility for Kaisa Evolutionary to come in, but we're going to reinforce with our chosen champion. A little blue Ahri action that's going to make an attack at the Dreaming Tree potentially not something that you want to do, because if we have disciplines, if we have on guards, that's also going to tack on draw a card for George, which is not really where you want to be.
Yeah, Jesse definitely far behind. I mean, as we look at that hand, he did miss, a lot of early drops, a lot of ability to really get on board quickly. Could have potentially gone for the Ahri Inquisitive right out the gates to just try and slam that down, but deciding to take it patient, and maybe patient is not necessarily going to pay off because George already at 3 points. Jesse just going to be trying to have the Evolutionary maybe find some spells later, but as of right now, no spell's going to be able to be played. Has to be less than, so even if you charm something away, then go Conquer, I believe you cannot play the charm. This is notable because a Cathian Rain is only actually doable on Aspirant's Climb or in 2v2.
2v2, yep.
I know that was a big thing when this was first revealed, was people like, wow, you could just a Cathian Rain and then win, which is not quite what ends up getting to happen. But still, getting the Conquer, getting a charm back in the bin for your Kai'Sa Evolutionary, I think is still something that you want to be looking for.
Yeah, threatening to get that charm at some point is still quite good.
And she's going to move in 5 into 2 currently. George has 3 runes available, but this feels a little bit tough to try and fight over with how many runes Jesse's got. It may just be George letting this go.
Yep. Yeah, especially since now, you know, the fight at the Dreaming Tree, any targeting will tack on that draw card. It works for both players, obviously, if you're at that battlefield. So, you know, George not wanting to get into the battle there. Jesse having so many resources.
I kind of like the Sona here. He's got the Sona. I'm thinking, like, what if not now, when Sona?
Right.
In this deck, right?
It does not look like it would ever be better than now.
Because you've got a lot of spells to mess with. And there we go.
Yep, there it is.
We're going to get Harmonious into the Dreaming Tree. That's going to go ahead and awaken those 4 runes at the end of the turn.
Yep.
And now we've got, you know, Discipline. There's a Retreat. There is a Wind Wall if that needs to be deployed.
Yeah, break in case of emergency.
A lot of ways to try and hold on to this Dreaming Tree.
That is certainly one. That is certainly one to plant your flag in, and especially like you mentioned, Kai'Sa Evolutionary has ganking, so even though she's currently sitting on defense, she can just jump right over to the other battlefield if Jesse wants to, and then potentially can start doing some shenanigans because now that a Conquer there would put Jesse up to 2. That's going to unlock the charm at the very least. And, you know, conquering a battlefield, charming over another unit, just slowly but surely, well, maybe not surely, but slowly chipping away at George's resources while you are at control of the Dreaming Tree certainly seems like a way to overwhelm your opponent here.
Looks like George still thinking heavily on this. Only 10 minutes left in this round. Jesse does currently have the lead, 1-0, and George in this game has the 3 points, trying to tie it up. Ties tend to be better than losses, at least in Riftbound, but I'm not sure if a tie is getting you there unless there's a lot of ties going around, which changes all the math. We're not even going to think about Swiss math because ties obviously change so much.
Absolutely not, yeah.
And that's bait. But
that is absolutely bait, for sure.
It is just going to be Ahri pushed in for George, maybe just trying to take out the Sona, go for a trade.
Yeah.
As this is currently 2-2 when we don't take into account Evolutionary.
Right. Yep.
Right. So as of now, if Jesse wants to try and save Sona, would have to go for a spell, but I actually think Retreat is a pretty reasonable option.
Yeah.
Where you just kind of leave Evolutionary versus the 2 might of the Ahri.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I'm also not entirely against just saying, okay, allow this to happen. I mean, Sona is great, but so is Blue Ahri.
Yeah.
Almost, and just the number of, I guess we only really have one more piece of interaction in the form of Discipline, and then we have the break in case of emergency wind wall that we don't necessarily want to use.
You can't play all of it.
Oh, okay.
Pick 2.
We get to pick 2, so, yeah. This is a critical point into the game here.
No, it is just going to be that Retreat, get the draw from the Dreaming Tree unless a Defy comes down, and it is in the hand of George, considering letting it resolve, and he does.
Okay.
Now he's got some buffs of his own, an on guard at least, but does he have enough to push over 6? He's 2 against 6.
Yep. A Defy, 1 on guard. Those are getting cycled through.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else.
Yeah, there might be other. It looks like there are other cards. There's still that Time Warp from last game. I should clarify, I don't know if there's actually a Time Warp in hand.
Yeah, still tanking on this. The unguard at least can find an additional draw.
Yep.
It's going to be 2 runes set aside there. Is that maybe a smoke screen considered?
Smoke screen certainly opens this up.
Just going to let it go.
Okay.
Just going to let it go.
Can't imagine that that is how George wanted that to play out. Trading the Ahri for a retreat there.
Yeah, just going to jam the Raven Bloom back over to Jesse. We'll get the point for hold and can look to threaten with Evolutionary, but George did hold up a lot of runes.
Yeah.
To fight in the Arby's parking lot.
Yeah.
It's really how it is.
The tale is old as time. Gonna open up with a discipline.
Just to get the draw before potentially sending her in.
Sure. Should get the draw from the Dreaming Tree here.
Exactly. 2 draw.
Yep. Looks like that is now going to be 1 draw.
All right, Defy going to be put there. And this is another thing that people miss often, is that normally you would think that the play side of things, you know, like you have to play it, but this is now choosing.
I just learned this rule. Okay, it must apply here as well. Well, not really. Are we wind walling
on the
here?
Defy? It's a very expensive answer to the Defy, but it is just going to happen. So now that discipline is still there. Could just be another Defy on this discipline if George has the second.
Right.
And it is.
Oh, absolutely is.
Just clarifying that he's defying the discipline.
Yeah.
Just some clarity on this wind wall.
Yeah.
Wind wall countered the Defy. The discipline is still on the stack because the Defy responds to the discipline. Now the wind wall responds to the Defy.
Yep.
Now we go to resolve the discipline, but there is still a window here for George to go ahead and still defy it.
Yep. Not quite sure what. I mean, it is quite.
Once again, having more of this this good back and forth on the chain from these two players, George and Jesse, probably learning a lot during this game as well.
Right.
As they've been playing really solid across this. A few small misses on things, but normal stuff that we see most players missing as of right now, as they're continuing to learn the rules, and a lot of very complicated interactions between these two decks.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder if they said counter the, if they tried to counter the wind wall, but that's actually not a valid target. That's the only thing that would makes sense to me.
Yeah, recreating.
Yep.
Just making sure that he can still target it. It looks like that might be the question.
I wonder if this is also asking, like, what happens with the Ravenbloom students? Like, how much might are they actually getting at the end of this exchange?
Yeah, it should be 1.
Right.
Should be the answer. Is 1 might to each of these Ravenblooms.
Okay.
Look, it's possible I'm still even getting some things wrong, to be honest, but
the wind wall is in the trash now. Okay, they're just putting everything in the trash. Okay, it's resolving.
Trying to resolve everything back.
They did get the draw from the Dreaming Tree. Ravenbloom student.
Should be +1.
Yep, and a Ravenbloom student picked up on the side of Jesse. I think that is more than enough to probably not want to.
Maybe they appealed this.
Or maybe they're now just figuring out how much. Not sure.
I'm not sure what's going on in this judgment. It felt like it resolved correctly.
It did seem that way.
It seemed like everything was okay. You can absolutely defy this this discipline after your first defy has been been hit. So we'll just take a second while that continues to get resolved.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, these two Ahri players have been going back and forth on the chain for a while on a lot of these different plays.
Yeah.
Shows the intricacies of Riftbound. People still getting used to it all, and you know, we'll get there. Hopefully by Houston, I think a lot of players are going to be even more dialed in on these rules and just know them immediately out the gates.
Yeah, and I will say, this is personally, for me, not the type of game I'm normally wanting to play, but I love that this type of interaction exists in the game of Riftbound.
Oh, it is super fun to watch. As now, Evolutionary is going to run over to the Raven Bloom student.
Yep.
He's going to get buffed up by that on guard, and that will push him up to 6, whereas Kaisa Evolutionary should be at 5. That will be just above for George.
Yep.
Being able to get that hold on the start tip peak. Channel a rune exhausted for that hold due to the battlefield.
Big, considering we know that there, at least last game, were time warps in the deck for George. One thing we did miss there was a Zhonya's sneaked in by Jesse. So the Kaisa Evolutionary, when that exchange happened, the Zhonya's instead kicked the bucket and sent the Kaisa Evolutionary back base.
Yeah, and George just going to have Raven Blooms on each battlefield and just going to pass back over with 9 runes open, saying, try me.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Let's see what you got.
Let's see what we can do here. I got spells for days. These Raven Blooms are going to be massive. Looking to tie up the series here against Jesse 1-1.
All right.
That's going to be everything tapped out for Jesse, saying, all right, you show me what you got as well, as he will send in the Tasty Fae Folk. It will be at -1.
Yep, so that's
due to
going
the
to be
legend
5.
ability.
5 currently to 2. Discipline's going to go from 2 up to 3 up to 5. So now 5 to 5. Draw a card from George.
5 to 5 on our internal might tracker here, as there will be, it looks like, another spell just to retreat the other Raven Bloom.
Oh, interesting.
In order to crank this up to 6 and get the draw from the Dreaming Tree.
Yep. Dreaming Tree draw should happen. Yep. And Channel a Rune. Death Knell trigger from Tasty Fae Folk. A couple of runes and a card in hand for Jesse. Now Dreaming Tree is wide open. That is going to be a conquer. That is going to be a 3rd point. And now
we'll allow Charm or Discipline to be played out.
Yeah.
Discipline just to draw 2.
Discipline will draw 2.
Hey, Conquer draw 2 it sounds pretty neat to me.
Yeah, double. It's bigger Kaisa.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's bigger Kaisa.
Yeah, it's Kaisa, bigger Kaisa.
Yes, she gains Survivor's ability for this turn, but actually better.
Michael and the cooler Michael. Yeah, this is Evolutionary stonks rising. And because the Ravenbloom student does not lose the buffs that it got from, or the might increases from before. You definitely don't want to. I don't think you want to charm that over and potentially end in disaster.
Yeah. Gonna be probably a bit too big, and there it is. Just gonna be George going for the Thousand-Tailed Watcher. Jesse's tapped out. He's got nothing to deal with that. Watcher gonna be great. Get George up to 7.
I think.
Looks like Jesse's gonna untap as well.
We'll see. What are they going to do here?
I mean, they got 40 seconds left on the round timer. George looks like he's going to be able to lock this one up. Looks like we may just be getting a draw here.
We
with only 30
very
seconds left
well may be doing that. I don't know what Jesse is able to do to contest it. I mean, he needs to clear both. We had unchecked power. That would do it. Clear both battlefields.
Yeah, not in the hand, though.
Not in the hand. Possibly not even in the deck.
Probably.
Almost certain.
No, it's some Aurora tech.
It's not unreasonable.
No, you like it for some of those big matchups where you need just a way to reset the play.
Right. It's not necessarily the best overall, but it's not an unreasonable card.
Looks like they've got a question here as they are going to turns.
Yep,
round timer is officially up.
Turns.
5 turns, but it looks like George might even just win here.
Yeah.
On this turn.
Don't know what we're
which would just give us a draw, right? There'd be 1-1 in this series. We'd just go straight to a draw there, these two players.
If we charm here, if we had a charm, would
there is not. Could draw into one off the discipline. Doesn't find it.
Stupefy.
He is going to scoop.
Do it.
And that is just a 1-1. I mean, they were in turns. Time is up.
Yeah.
That should just be a draw here between George and Jesse. You know, I think as much as it always sucks to show draws and always sucks to have draws and feature, I think this is a really unique match to watch. Getting that first kind of glimpse of an Ahri mirror match, some of those longer chains that we were getting of all the interaction back and forth, tracking the might to see who was kind of ahead of each other.